and gentlemen, welcome back to another very special, as always, episode of the Hyperconscious Podcast. We hope you enjoyed our latest episode where Alan and I sat down with the one and only Danielle Umstead. Today, for episode number 275, we are going to do a 5-minute clinic on awareness and why it may be the most important thing ever of all time.
Oh, wow. Ever of all time. Twice.
Said it twice, yeah.
Ever of all time squared.
Let's slide in this camera
Before we jump into this episode, I want you to go to the hyperconsciouspodcast.com. Click on join, hashtag hyperconsciousnation. Folks, the group is growing. We've had 4 new members in the last week.
Okay.
Oh, yeah.
Right
Oh,
on.
yeah.
Shout
so
out
go there.
to you guys.
You're going to have a group of like-minded individuals who are all hyperconscious, hyper-aware, and that's what this episode's about.
And I'll be honest, Alan and I have been jeffing the group. We got to get more. We got to do lives. We got to get in there.
Yeah.
We have just been overwhelmed with so much stuff that's going on, and we have an event January 25th.
Yes.
That is coming up, and we are really, really pounding the streets so we can get as many of you guys in the room as possible. We have 8 world-class speakers: Alan, myself, Mark Metry, Brant Pinvidic, Toria Leto, Nikki Saunders, Joanna De Pena, Britt Franks. My goodness.
Strong
And
work.
the goal of this is to give you tactical ways to make 2020 the best year of your life. Make sure you turn those resolutions into realities. We are going to help you do so. Full day, 8-hour event. Change your life.
www.topnotchlive2020.com.
What is awareness, and why are we talking about it?
It's hyperconsciousness,
Yeah.
some would say.
Yeah.
So the Hyperconscious Podcast, Kevin and I were just on a coaching call with David Meltzer
The one and
before this episode, and we were talking about the ego, and we were also talking about how in between an impulse and an action, there's a thought, or there should be,
Yeah.
anyways.
Yeah.
That's what hyperconsciousness is. Hyperconsciousness is inserting the thinking process prior to an action, after an impulse of like, why am I doing what I'm doing?
So I'll give you guys an example, a story. So like Alan said, we were just on a call with Dave Meltzer, and Dave is so future-oriented, macro-oriented, where it's like the time that you're investing right now, like the time doesn't matter. Like just make sure you're consistent every single day and it'll pay off eventually. Where I'm a tactical person. I'm a tactician. If you tell me how to do something, I'll do it. That's just how I am. If I know how to do it, I that's like the cheat codes. I'll do it. You know, I have the hard work. But on the call, when we're talking all macro, we're talking all future, my reversion to old Kevin is to get insecure. And rather than feel bad about myself, I have understood how to become aware. I am hyper-conscious that anytime we switch over from podcasting to business or podcasting to macro goals, to long-term goal setting, I tend to get a little bit insecure because that's not my wheelhouse. That's not where I do my best work. That's not where I flex the most emotional muscle. Now, you guys have those places too. And if you can become aware of them, you will be able to make those shifts in between the trigger and the action. You'll be able to put something in there. So rather than me saying like, Alan, you got super egotistical on that call, that's not what happened at all. I actually reverted to being insecure. When we get off that call,
which made you think I was egotistical.
It would have normally if I wasn't aware.
Right.
If you can become aware of why you're thinking the way you're thinking, like this is the podcast.
Right.
If you can become aware of what situations make you feel a certain way, what are the common themes of when you get uncomfortable? What is it during certain meetings? Is it around certain people? Is it when people have egos that flare up? Is it, when is it? Because when you notice that, you'll start feeling that familiar feeling and you'll be able to squash it out and say like, this is my ego right now. This is my insecurities popping up.
Right.
And that is awareness. If you can become aware of that, and again, it's not easy, it's painful, right? You're really digging into like, oh, why do I feel that way? Oh, this is why.
You're facing your demons.
But at least you're then you know what is, and you're not making assumptions based on, because you can screw a relationship up like that.
And well, dude, we've had a call before where you got upset with me when you didn't catch that. So there was one call with Dave where Kevin thought that I was overtaking the call when he wasn't able to catch that insecurity and then shift it, and that almost disconnected us.
Right.
Which was fascinating. So in that call, what was the moment where you got insecure? Because
Oh,
we
it
were
was
talking math.
It was the whole time. Yeah, once we started, I was like, okay. Because just as a background, and then we'll get out of here, but as a background, Alan and I write 5 questions out to ask Dave, right?
Right.
That's the best. We have, a limited amount of time with Dave. We want to make sure we use it to the best of our ability. And as the questions came out, I was like, okay, those seem pretty good. But the second we hopped on the call, Alan just went down a different tangent.
Oh, yeah.
And then I was like, okay, I can see that my value, I'm not going to be able to add a ton of value here. So rather than try to pufferfish and say like, yeah, I'm going to come up with a bomb question right now, I just sat back and let the conversation go and add where I can. And I think that
Dave loved it.
That's only because I'm aware of the fact that when you don't know what you don't know, and you understand that, like, I don't know everything. I don't know as much about math as you guys. I didn't get an 800 on my math SATs like Dave. That's a perfect score.
Right.
I'm not that person. But it's okay.
Yeah.
It's okay. That's awareness too, realizing that
learn here instead.
Right. Listening is sometimes the best action.
I need that.
We're going to have to do a longer episode on awareness because as we become more hyperconscious, we understand it better and we're able to explain it better.
I know. So in a specific moment when someone gets insecure or uncomfortable and their button got pushed, what do you recommend they do from a practical standpoint? Dave talked about the 3 steps of understanding when you're triggered, understanding why you're triggered, and then creating a new action.
Well, I think you have to run it through the filter of what are my insecurities. Like if you have a past, if you have...
So what was yours in that instance? Your insecurity?
I just
Not
think,
good enough?
Yeah, a lack of competency.
Right.
A lack of competency is always something for me that has made me shell up or pufferfish.
Right.
And rather than, I think there's a proper way to shell up, where it's like you just take a step back. You don't have to cover yourself. Take a step back and realize, like, okay, let me just be.
Because if you cover yourself, you're not learning.
Yeah, let me be present here.
Right.
Let me be present.
Yeah.
So
I
I
did really
think-
good with that.
I appreciate
Yeah,
that.
and he loved the call as well. Which
It was fire.
Yeah.
It was fire. We're going to have to do a longer episode on
10-second blip from Kevin.
10-second blip. The first step in making a change in anything is to become aware of what that anything is first. Awareness is everything.
Fire. I would say you don't know what you don't know, so try to understand when you don't know and just learn.
I like it. Ladies and gentlemen, our goal is to help you become the most aware version of yourself possible. We hope you enjoyed this episode, and we will talk to you on Wednesday.
Talk to you soon.
Bye.